What's up guys, welcome back for another YgoPro duel video. Next match, Cross-Banlist Cup, 2 matches still remaining, and then it's all the way back to the beginning, the next 2 decks here. First of all, we have windups from 2012 again. Like always in pretty much every year of the Cross-Banlist Cup, windups return, and you know, there are a couple of possibilities of windups. This year it will be the windup hand loop featuring windup hunter, and the period for the TCG where windup Send Mighty was also at 3, so pretty much the early period slash the earlier years when, you know, windups were released. For me, this is one of the most hated decks to play against next to something like Insectors. Windup hand loop is, you know, like crazy degenerate, at least for me, one of the first times ever back in 2012 and before, right? I've been playing this game since the beginning, well, pretty much since the beginning, and like, for me at least, giving the feeling, playing against this particular deck that, like, why? This deck is not really fun. Like, if your opponent starts and if you don't open with either Effect Failure or Maxi, then GG, right? The windup hand loop will just, you know, loop your hand away and leave you with like 2 cards. Maybe even 1 card, maybe 3 cards depending on their hand, and if they have something like an Extender, Monster Reborn, Pot of Avarice would just, you know, make it much more ridiculous. But again, the one of Windup Hunter, I believe Magician was at 2, not really sure about that, but again, triple Tour Guide, Instant Fusion as a nice Extender, double Windup Factory was more than enough, but again, the powerhouse here in the extra deck of Windup Zen Mighty. Being at 3. The biggest weakness of this deck is the extra deck. At the same time, again, you're not having access to more powerful exceeds like back in the, at least after the particular ban list of 2012 with you know, the wind-up hand loop into Shockmaster. But anyway, wind-up hand loop. Second deck we have Joshua Smith's one of his Paleozoic lists, I believe one of his most recent lists. This was, it was either this particular list or, you know, the 60 card variant that I believe won YCS Prague, but again, I've read through the comments again from this particular video where I present the decks. It was diverse, so eventually opted to go for the 40 card build, yeah, I prefer this list myself. But again, like, if I ever play like a huge broken OP Cross-Banlist Cup, the 60 card build can definitely have a place in that particular tournament. Okay, let's not waste any more time, let's hop into the first duel. Okay, game number 1. I think I get to start. I'm playing with windups, the opponent is playing with Paleozoics. This is an OP hand, especially at least I'm hoping that the opponent does not have the Maxi. Otherwise, you know, I'm going to loop his entire hand away. I believe only, eventually I think I discard like 4 cards, not really sure, but again, the strength of this deck is just to spam as a carrier Zen Mighty to the field, and you know, depending on your hand, depending on what you want to set up, not really sure if I was able to end with Windup Rabbit as well, you know, potentially triggering what is it called, the Windup Factory during your opponent's turn, but again, not really sure about that. But here I think it's not going to matter too much, ending with a double carrier, the Giga, what is it called, the Giga Brilliant? I think so, the rank 3 booster, and of course top decking the Typhoon as well, although yeah, it's not going to matter again too much. Super OP hand on my part. Game number 2, the opponent gets to start. Again, having the 6th card is fine, setting a card, well again, the problem of this deck is that it's very hard to combat. Like, a lot of back rows, you can't really push through back row heavy decks with this windup list. So I think going for the first turn windup rabbits, but again, not going to attack. Why should I, right? Dupe Frog, Ronin Toad, right? But I think I have to go for, like, you know, multiple exceeds this turn by dropping the windup shark eventually and trying to use windup red as well. Because if I don't do anything, I'm pretty much a sitting duck, right? I have to solemn Warning? Yeah, Solemn Warning indeed. What is it called? Opafinia or something like that, but he has enough resources to pump out the second one. I believe the only, yeah, the last copy from his extra deck. And he's also going for Toad, and that's a problem, right? He can go for something like Dupe Frog, he opts to go for Swap, which is also fine, I guess. Since again he does have like Toad on the field to negate any possible threat coming his way. Also the Opafinia, again, my apologies if I mispronounce it, but you know, the Paleozoic Exceed And now he can just again grind up the advantage. That's the problem, right, with Paleozoics, or if you're playing against Paleozoics, if they get the extra turn, like they can go from one card or only having one card to multiple cards, multiple exceeds on the field, like just keep upgrading their stuff, searching the trap cards, the Paleozoic trap cards from their deck, and you know, reborning everything from the grave. Game number 3, and this, I was like, ooh, Magician Shark, let's go for it, and he drops Maxi. Yep. I think I have to stop. I can't go for something like Wind-Up Rabbit again. I'm playing against Paleozoics. That's not really a huge threat if he, you know, goes second right. He cannot really pump out a big board, so I think I'm safe. The worst thing that can happen is like set 5, which probably will happen, right? But, you know, him having a lot of resources to combat against, or at least, well, yeah, to prevent myself from, you know, spamming multiples and mighties to the field and potentially threaten his board slash life points, right? Going for triples and mighty and eventually go for Hunter as well. Not really sure if that was a correct play. Well, at least, you know, him having only 2 cards in hand, potentially discarding a Paleozoic was definitely in the back of my mind. But I think I had to go for it. Not really sure other plays, you know, no Wind-Up Factory to get some pluses out of Wind-Up, what's it called, Wind-Up Rabbit. But the double Reckless Greed, man, that card is so busted in Paleozoics, triggering multiple, you know, Paleozoics from the graveyard, getting 2 draws in the process as well. And this is definitely a problem, right? Then double Toad. Must be nice with the Paleozoic exceed on the field as well. One back row, which we now see is the breakthrough skill, and of course double Toad during my stem my face by pumping out the Dupe Frog to pretty much protect his field, right? And also an extra swap frog to fill up the graveyard, yup. Negating the Dark Hole, well again, it doesn't really matter too much. Torrential Tribute will also be a dead card. That's a problem. Torrential Tribute and Mirror Force are reactive cards, and against something like Paleo, especially if they already established their board, that's definitely a big problem, since again they can just like search the Mystical Space Typhoon from their deck and, you know, deal with your slow trap after that. So deserved, I think. The Maxi definitely hurts, but if it wasn't for Maxi, then I think Windups definitely had a big shot at winning this one. But yeah, that's again how it is, right? Cross-Banlist Cup 2018. So eventually, yeah, going with the 2 points, and Windups will be left with 1 point. Yeah, again, next match should follow very soon. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and feel free to leave a comment or a like if you enjoyed the video. Lithium signing out. Peace.